pranayama is basically the art of expansion of dimension of the prana. Namaste yogis. In this class, I will share with you very briefly what is pranayama. So pranayama is made of two words, prana and ayama. Prana does not have an exact translation in English language. So I would say prana means vital energy. Prana is actually the universal life force, is the cosmic energy, is the most basic manifestation of energy, is the fundamental energy which sustains the entire universe, including the animate and inanimate objects. So prana is the universal life force. And as far as the human body is concerned, it is the bio-plasmic energy or the vital force. So that is prana. Now let's come to the word ayama. Ayama may have many meanings. Not it may have, it has many meanings. So ayama means extension. It can also mean dimension. It also means expansion. And it can also mean regulation or control. So pranayama is basically the art of expansion of dimension of the prana. It also means regulation or the control of prana. So pranayama, which sometimes may be perceived as breath control exercise, it is not breath control exercise, it is prana control exercise. It's an exercise in which we learn how to enhance, how to increase a prana and how to regulate it. Let me give you a couple of more examples to help you understand what exactly it is. So in yoga, we say that breath is the horse and prana is the rider. You or I, the consciousness, we are neither the horse nor the rider, but we are interested in the rider. So when we breathe in and breathe out, so along with the breath, along with the air we breathe in, there is something else which goes in and out with the breath. So that is the prana. So prana is separate from the oxygen. It is different than oxygen or the air we breathe in, although it is intimately connected with that. We don't take prana only from the air or from the breath. We take prana from food, from sunlight, from everything. We are supplied with the prana even from the cosmos. But prana definitely has a very intimate relationship with the breath, and breath is the one of the only involuntary aspect of our physical processes which we can control. Like there are so many functions in the body which we cannot control, they are involuntary. Even if we want, we cannot control, but breath is the only activity of the body which is involuntary. So even if you don't want to breathe, you will be breathe. Even if you will not be aware, you will be breathing. But it's also an activity in which you can, an activity of which you can take control of within one moment. So that makes breath extremely important. So breath actually also becomes the door to the conscious and the unconscious mind. So when we imagine horse, the breath is the horse and prana is the rider, but we cannot do anything directly with the rider yet. So we first learn to control the breath. So breath control is part of the exercise, but breath control is not the aim. So when we start pranayama, we start to first learn to regulate the breath, control the breath, And then slowly we start to recognize the prana, we become friends with the prana, and then we are able to take control of the prana. Now, let me give you another example. So, why do we want to control prana? Why do we want to practice pranayama? So, first of all, practice of pranayama will help us increase our energy. So we do have a lot of energy from food and so many other sources. But by practicing pranayama, we can extend and expand the dimension of the prana. We can increase our aura, our magnetism. We can increase the vital force in the body. So just like we need a lot of fuel and energy to travel the outer space. You know, when we want to send a rocket to the moon, to the space, to the Mars, or to any other planet, we need fuel. We need tremendous amount of energy. So just the way we need energy to send a rocket, we need energy to explore the outer space, we also need tremendous amount of energy to explore the inner space. So pranayama helps us generate, expand the energy, number one. Number two, we learn through pranayama, we learn how to gain control of the energy so that we can use that energy in the right places in a body, in a brain, and in the mind. Now, what do I mean by that? So let's take an example. Let's say you're going on a holiday, you're going on a vacation. You book a big villa. It has many bedrooms, many living rooms. Now you go there, you get the key somewhere, and you enter the house, and it's midnight, it's night, it's dark. So when you, and let's assume that there's no light on, it's absolute dark, there's no bulb or tube light, nothing is on. So now the first thing you need when you enter the house is you want to have access to light, you want to switch on the lights. So first of all, you almost have no clue where the switches are. So you will struggle with the switches. Now see, there are bulbs and lamps everywhere in that beautiful big villa. So it's not that there are no bulbs. And there is also ample amount of electricity available. So electricity is there, bulb is there, but there is no connection. The bridge between them is broken. So to complete that bridge, what do you need first? You need to find out where the switches are. So that is the step number one. So pranayama helps us finding out, it helps us becoming familiar with those switches. Now, let's say, for example, you found a switchboard and it has, let's say, 20 different switches. Now, because you are not familiar with which switch is for what, you don't know which switch to switch on for which bulb. You will keep switching, you will keep turning on different switches randomly, and the bulbs which will switch on will be random. You will end up switching on the bulb you don't want to switch on, and then again you will switch it off, and then again you will try something else, and you will try something else. Sometimes you will end up turning on the fan, sometimes you will end up opening the main gate by the switch. You know what I mean? So because you don't know which switch is for what, you have the access to the light now, but you don't know how to handle it. So now let's take the same example for our brain and its functions and the mind and the chakras and all that. So our brain is just like a huge villa which has thousands of bulbs. We call it energy centers. So all those centers in the brain, they become active or super active when they receive energy. So imagine there are thousands of bulbs in the brain, but till now, till you came to yoga, before you came to yoga, you did not even know that there was that there were bulbs and there was any possibility to switch them on. You didn't know that there was electricity. But now, when you have joined the world of yoga, when you have started to explore the inner world, now you believe, you know, you have faith that there are bulbs. Now you believe that there is electricity, there is energy, and there are bulbs. Now, how do I connect to that? So pranayama and meditation is the way, is the art to learn to find where those switches are and which switch is for which particular bulb. So pranayama gives you that knowledge and that skill, that control by which you can use the energy which is going inside your body, which is going inside your brain. You can use that energy consciously to activate certain brain functions, chakras and kundalini so that you can move forward steadily and smoothly in the path of meditation, in the path of spirituality. Now I will give you one more last example. So pranayama is basically the path to freedom. Pranayama is one of the most important tools for a yogi to become free. The whole purpose of yoga is liberation, purpose is freedom from misery. Freedom from misery and achieving the self-realization, the true nature of who we are. So there's a story which I will share with you. It's not my story. I'm sure you have heard, or most of you have heard this story in one form or other. So there was a man and he was captured. He was captured and he was put in a very high tower. So let's say the story dates 200-300 years back, for example. So this man has been prisoned on a very high tower on the top floor. Now it's not exactly a prison, but the tower has no stairs. It has no ladder, no stairs. There's nothing to grip on, and the tower is so high that the people who made him captive, they know that the only way for him to escape is to jump off the tower, and he would die if he jumps off. So somehow he manages to send a message to his wife. Maybe he saw his wife, maybe his wife came, he shouted and he talked. We don't know, it's the story. So he tells his wife that, help me become free from this prison, this tower, and I want you to bring me some honey, one beetle, a little animal, and a silk thread, a very long silk thread, and a string which is thicker than the silk, and a twine or a little bit more thicker rope, and a thick rope. So, and she's puzzled. She says he says, don't worry, just bring it. She brings it. She comes somewhere in the night, I guess. So he tells her to tie the silk string behind the beetle, and he asks her to put some honey at the nose or whatever beetles may have here, to put some honey in that and place the beetle on the tower, on the wall of the tower, pointing towards him. So silk is very thin, it's very light. Even a very long piece of silk thread is very, very light for a beetle. So beetle, smelling the honey, wants to get the honey, and he starts to climb up. And he's chasing his own smell basically, and he ends up reaching to the guy on the top. The guy catches the silk thread, and now he asks his wife to tie another string which is thicker than the thread. So he asks her to tie the string to the silk thread, and then he pulls it up. Now he has the string which is stronger. Now he asks her to tie the thicker one, so a twine, a stout twine. Now he gets the twine which is thick. Now he asks her to tie the thick rope to the twine, and then he pulls it, and now finally he has got the thick rope. Now using the thick rope, he gets down and he sets himself free. So of course it's a story. So here now, let's say the guy who on the tower is you or I, and the breath is the silk thread. So using the breath, so breath is the silk thread, and the nerve impulses, they are the thicker string, okay? And the thoughts are the stout twine, the thicker, the little bit bigger rope. And prana is the main rope. So just the way that guy frees himself using silk thread and using the other thicker ropes, in the same way we or a yogi starts to work with the silk thread, which is the breath, and then slowly starts to get deeper, 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 and finally reaches a point where he has absolute control over the prana, and using that prana the yogi can achieve the much required liberation we all are seeking through yoga. Namaste.